Imagine owing a bank millions of dollars, not paying it back fully, and somehow the bank gives you even more money. Sounds crazy, right? But this happens all the time with billionaires. So why do banks keep lending them huge amounts of money? Most people think banks only give loans to people who always pay back perfectly. But when it comes to billionaires, the rules are completely different. Today, we're going to uncover why banks love rich borrowers, how billionaires use debt to stay richer, and why owing money can actually make rich people more powerful. Here's the first secret. Billionaires may not have much cash sitting in their bank account, but they own massive assets and investments. Things like company shares, real estates, business, private jets, and investments. So when a billionaire asks for a loan, the bank sees security. Even if they haven't repaid their previous loans, their assets are often worth far more than the debt. Do you know that debt makes billionaires richer? Most billionaires avoid selling their assets. But why? Because selling their stocks or business may trigger huge taxes. Instead, they borrow money against their assets. For example, a billionaire owns 10 billion in company shares. Instead of selling shares to get cash, they use the shares as collateral to borrow from the bank. That way, they get cash, avoid taxes, and keep owning the assets while it grows in value. Banks believe the rich will eventually pay. Banks also think long-term. Even if a billionaire is struggling, banks expect them to recover. Why? Because wealthy people often have connections, businesses, investors, multiple income sources. Banks see them as a lower risk than a person living paycheck to paycheck. Here is the biggest truth of all. Banks don't lend based on only how much you have. They lend based on assets, influence, future earning power, and how profitable you are for the bank. That's why the rich can borrow again and again, while the poor may struggle to get approved, even for small loans. Next time you hear that a billionaire borrowed another massive loan, remember, debt works differently for the rich. To most people, debt is a burden, but for billionaires, debt is a tool. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Would you borrow money if you were a billionaire? See you in the next video.